Alrighty, let's get into it, shall we? Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to our Monday live stream for week 18 of technically, now it's 2024. Happy New Year, but it still is the 2023 fantasy football season. Over the course of today's live stream, I, of course, wanted to go ahead and talk about yesterday's week 17 championship, all that came of that, interesting day of events. I'm also going to go ahead and talk about a couple week 18 waiver wire pickups for those of you guys who potentially watch this live or later on in regards to potentially picking up players. Hopefully nobody plays in a week 18 championship. I think the thumbnail of today's episode, Elijah Mitchell, speaks for itself in regards to why we don't want to go ahead and play in a week 18 championship. Of course, the San Francisco 49ers, they have already gone ahead and they have secured their number one seed of the NFC. And they don't have to play Christian McCaffrey because there's not a necessity for him to play, especially considering, of course, he's dealing with a little bit of a calf strain there. But either way, I do see you guys in the chat. For those of you who have joined us this Monday afternoon, Happy New Year. Hope you guys are doing well. I see many of you guys either came, just short or captured a championship. Congratulations for those who did. I still want to congratulate for those of you who got to the championship. It is not easy to go 17 weeks throughout an entire marathon and have a team that is able to avoid injuries. You're able to rebuild the team with waiver wire, with trades, with good decision making, and still get to a championship. That in itself, there's a reason why majority of leagues give a prize to first and second. I understand you want the bragging rights of that first place, but either way, if you were able to get to a championship in 2023, congratulations, because this is one of the craziest seasons we've experienced in quite some time. Obviously, the quarterback carousel that was for the last two seasons has been ridiculous. If you didn't have one of those top tier quarterbacks like a Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, guys who didn't miss time, it would be very difficult to even get into the conversation of the playoffs, much less have enough consistency to make it to a championship. But either way, welcome. Hope you guys are doing well. Let's see what you guys have to say in the chat. I see Andrew Clark. Andrew, apologies. I know that you weren't able to capture a championship, but yeah, you were definitely here literally almost every live stream. So thank you for the support, my man. Mike Alonso was saying, lost championship yesterday. I had Josh Allen, Kyron Williams, Zamir White, ETN, and the Browns defense. My opponent had Debo, Ayuk, Connor, Pacheco, and Jalen Hurts. Yeah, that's rough. You had a good team. You had a really good team. Zamir could have been a little bit better, but ETN and Kyron, they both showed up. They played well. Josh Allen, his rushing touchdowns continue to accumulate. But yeah, you went against the buzzsaw that is James Conner, Isaiah Pacheco yesterday, and of course, Ayuk and Debo both having themselves monster games, which of course was anticipated considering they were playing against the Washington Commanders. Nathan J, what's up? Hopefully we ended up helping you out. Old J Running says, I'm victorious. Congratulations, Old J. AC says, I ended up taking him second place in a 12-man league. Appreciate the channel. Thank you very much, AC. Hopefully next year we can close the deal. Thanks for the help all year. Won the championship. No problem, Lore. Sag with the 3 trophies there. Choppa says, lost the championship. How do I get over it? I would say play in more leagues. The more leagues you play in, the more, I would say, the less it would hurt. Because you'll get used to losing, honestly. Because more often than not, especially if you play in multiple leagues, like if you play in 10 leagues, right, and you make the playoffs in, let's say, 6 or 7 of them, and you make the championship in 2 or 3 of them, you're not always going to have a championship winning team. Like CeeDee Lamb and Breece Hall, they ruled the week, right, early in that Saturday, Thursday games, and they probably ended up, leading teams to victory. Like CeeDee Lamb this year, the number 1 overall wide receiver by a pretty large margin, carry teams to the promised land. And it's tough. If you don't have those kind of players, it is going to be like a crazy combination that you're going to require in order to get to the championship and be able to close it out. Recommended Greg Dortch over Tucker Kraft yesterday, and I won. Congratulations. Yeah, Greg Dortch, Michael Wilson. I'm going to mention them both in a moment in regards to some Week 18 waiver wire pickups. They do play against, look, considering they're a team that is still going to probably start their players, even though they're in no contention to play, considering Marquise Hollywood Brown is on the injured reserve, and there's been a lack of production from Trey McBride as of late. Both Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch could be options for those of you who still play in Week 18. Let's see here. If anyone is doing a championship this week, quit the league. I agree, Dom. I 100% agree. Or at least if you're the overall manager of that league, make sure you change it for next year for sure. Let's see here. I lost my championship by 1 yard because I swapped Lockett with Ridley. 1 yard, literally 0.1. That's ridiculous. That's crazy, Ryan. Country says, I've now been in the chip and our home league 12 years in a row now. Just winning my 10th. And congratulations, Country. How about that, huh? Maybe you need to expand that league. Get some more teams in there. Change it up. LJ says, thanks, everything. Still got week 18 to go. Hey, I'm here to help. In a moment here, I'm going to go ahead and change the rankings. I've gone ahead and I've made the graphics for running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, quarterbacks, kickers, and defenses that are available going into week 18. I just wanted to go ahead and catch up on the chat. Dustin says, up by 12 going into the second week. Okay, cool. I mean, listen, we're here to help. Let's see here. Christian McCaffrey already ruled out. Yes, that is a given. So this is the information that we know for sure, okay? For those of you who play in a week 18, we know for sure that the Baltimore Ravens and the San Francisco 49ers, they do not have to play their starters. They are the number one seeds of their divisions. Now, there are also teams that have already been eliminated from playoff contention, and they don't have to play their starters because if, in fact, they're dealing with a bit of an injury, maybe they're not going to go. So teams like the Cincinnati Bengals, Denver Broncos, Las Vegas Raiders, New York Jets, Tennessee Titans, Los Angeles Chargers, New England Patriots on the AFC side, all eliminated. So again, they don't have to play their primary starters if they're dealing with any sort of injury. So don't expect Josh Jacobs to come back again. Zamir White, once again, another valuable play this week. Has had back, 3 consecutive weeks of double-digit fantasy points, which is great. On the NFC side, Chicago, New York Giants, Washington Commanders, Arizona Cardinals, Carolina Panthers, all been eliminated in regards to them potentially not, of course, putting forth their best efforts in playing their starters, which they don't have to, but for some of these players, of course, they want to play in order to reach their overall contract, incentive bonuses. Like, oh, if I get 10 touchdowns, I'll get this many extra dollars. If I get 1,000 yards, I'll get this, Donovan says, I still have to play in week 18. Great. Okay. I'm glad that there are people that this will help. Let's see here. Hey, Andrew, where do you see CD going next year? He's going to be a first-round pick. He'll probably be in the top 6 picks easily, right? Because, if you think about next season, Justin Jefferson's going to be in that conversation under the assumption that the Minnesota Vikings address their quarterback position and probably re-sign Kirk Cousins. So I almost said Christian Kirk again. If Kirk Cousins goes back to Minnesota, then Justin Jefferson's probably going to be in that conversation. Christian McCaffrey will be in that conversation. Jamar Chase, alongside of Joe Burrow, will probably be in that conversation once again. And then CeeDee Lamb, especially if we continue to trend towards the idea of selecting wide receivers early and then addressing running back later in our drafts, he's going to be a top 5-6 pick. Let's see here. Okay, so really quickly, Frank says, won both my 12-man leagues. Congratulations, Frank. Ty Nelson, 1000 says, hi, Andrew. What's up, man? Hope you're doing well. Nicola says, won the chip. Thanks for all the help. No problem. Glad I can help in any sort of regard. Colin says, I'm in the championship with a terrible team. How did you get to... Well, look, I guess if you're injured, then sure, yeah, you could have a terrible team in that circumstance. Okay, either way, really quickly. For those of you who are still playing in week 18, let me go ahead and let me transition the graphic just so we're all on the same page as to what we're doing this upcoming week, okay? So let's talk about running backs first and foremost. These are the players that I have them ranked as such. Now, obviously, some of these players are probably not going to be widely available, like Khalil Herbert, first and foremost. And so Khalil Herbert and Zach Charbonnet, they are the 2 highest rostered players on Yahoo right now. 53% for Herbert and 56% for Charbonnet. So I would be surprised if they're still available in a 12-man league. Perhaps even in a 10-man league, I would be surprised, considering Khalil Herbert last week was dominant, and yesterday morning, because of Deontay Foreman's healthy scratch, he jumped in the rankings into the top 30 capacity and obviously delivered with another 120 plus rushing yards for another consecutive week here. So if in fact those two are not available, okay, and the reason why I have Charbonnet there is because Kenneth Walker yesterday dealing with an injury, left the game for a moment in time. There may be a possibility in which going against Arizona, they don't fire up Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet takes the reins. Otherwise, Elijah Mitchell easily against the Rams should be a great play in the absence of Christian McCaffrey. That being said, we don't know if they're going to be firing up their entire starting offense. So it could be Purdy, Debo, Ayuk for maybe a quarter and a half, maybe just the first half. Then they pull them in the second half, and Elijah Mitchell can continue to run with that second team and play for majority of the game, which will give him value and makes him a definite prospect that we want to get our hands on if possible. Currently, I think he's rostered only in 12% of leagues on Yahoo, primarily because Jordan Mason as of late has been that handcuff, considering Elijah Mitchell has dealt with his own injuries. Jamal Williams is another player that we might want to pick up, primarily because Alvin Kamara yesterday left the game due to an injury, may not end up playing this upcoming week. Jamal Williams has some crazy eyes, and honestly, in the absence of Alvin Kamara, was pretty solid. 19 carries, 4 receptions, pretty solid week, even though he didn't score a touchdown. Justice Hill, because like I mentioned earlier, the Baltimore Ravens and the San Francisco 49ers technically don't have to play their starters. Gus Edwards might not play this week, and it may be just Justice Hill with some sprinkles of Melvin Gordon usage, and then Roshan Johnson sits there as the final option. Let's talk about wide receivers really quickly. So I think this is pretty simple. Demarcus Robinson, another week in which he has 10 total targets and had himself a pretty solid fantasy performance. Bo Melton is a practice squad wide receiver who was elevated to the starting lineup and played incredibly well last night in the Sunday night game. And they've already signed him to the active roster, so he's good to go. Jaden Reed's dealing with the injury. He did not return. He may end up missing in week 18. Therefore, Bo Melton could be a guy of value. Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson, both played well yesterday. Tyrod Taylor and the boys go against the Philadelphia Eagles back, just a couple weeks back. When Tyrod Taylor came in for Tommy DeVito, they played pretty well as an offense. And obviously these wide receivers have a pretty advantageous matchup. And then, of course, we have the Arizona wide receivers under the assumption that they're going to continue to play Kyler in this given week. Should be a pretty solid play. Let's talk about tight ends and quarterbacks. These are pretty much guys, especially at quarterback, that I think we already know should be rostered. Flacco, Browning. Tyrod Taylor's a sneaky play there. He played pretty well last week against the LA Rams, or yesterday against the LA Rams. Should be able to continue that going against the Philadelphia Eagles this week. Juwan Johnson was a surprise big play, monster yesterday, which was fantastic. Besides him scoring a receiving touchdown, so did Taysom Hill. We have Tucker Kraft as per usual, and then Johnny Munt. Johnny Munt, even though I thought Josh Oliver would be the primary tight end in the absence of TJ Hawkinson, Johnny Munt played a vast majority of the offensive snaps for that team yesterday. Moving on, let's talk about kickers. Fairbairn played another week in which he scored over 15 fantasy points. Cairo Santos continues to kick 10 plus fantasy points. What is that? I think it's like 4 of the last 6 games. And then Anders Carlson continues to play well. And of course, they're going to be fighting for their playoff lives this week. Should be a solid play. As for those defenses, Tampa Bay plays against Carolina. Anybody playing against Carolina is a great play. New Orleans, if I'm not mistaken, why am I forgetting who they play this week? They play against Atlanta. Atlanta's always got a sketchy point as to whether or not they're going to do anything as an offense. And then the last is Detroit playing against Minnesota. Last time out against Minnesota, caused 4 interceptions from the one and only Nick Mullins. Okay, guys, so those are the waiver wire pickups that I just wanted to go ahead and first and foremost address in that regard. We're good to go there. I will go ahead, move back to the big screen, and then see if you have any questions in this regard. If you guys are playing in a week 18 and you have these players available and you're wondering who you should pick up, ask me now or forever hold your peace. Thank you. Okay. Let's see here. Danny Navarro in the chat was saying, thanks, Andrew. What does it say? This is my 3rd year watching, and I finally won my first championship. Won 2 this year. Congratulations. Congratulations, Danny. Oscar says, hey, Andrew. Okay, so we took care of that one. Frank A, we took care of that. Ty, Colin. Howard says, hi, Andy. What's up, Howard? How's it going? Tick says, you helped me get my 2nd place. You got to support you, bro. Thank you very much, Tick. Appreciate it. James Buck sends in a $10 super chat. Thank you very much, James. Appreciate that. TN Jose says, won my fantasy last night by 1 point. How about that? Dude, the amount of people who won by a sliver. I mean, every week it's a sliver, right? Every week. There are games that I've seen. There's games that I've experienced this season in which I lose by literally less than a point. I've won games by less than a point. I mean, obviously, the more you play fantasy, the more those kind of scenarios can take place. But yeah, I mean, we'll take what we can get. Anytime you can pull out a chip, even if it's by 1 point, be more than happy to do it. All right, so while I'm chilling here, I'm assuming some of y'all are probably watching the Alabama-Michigan game on the other monitor or other screen or something of that nature. What's the score? 10-13? Okay, not bad. It's kind of staying close. Let's see here. Let's see. Free says, do you think Travis Kelce will play this week? I mean, okay, look, technically, I'd say yes, unless. All right, let's see this. Just looking at the standings in the entire like playoff picture as it currently stands. So the Kansas City Chiefs are a 10-6 football team. They have their division won. So regardless, they're going to get a home game. But they would probably want to try to win this week because they already have the head-to-head victory against Miami, who has an 11-5 record. So if you're able to win this week, Kansas City, and Miami loses to Buffalo, at that point, then Buffalo would have what, an 11-6 record as well, but Buffalo has the tiebreaker against the Chiefs. I don't know how the math actually turns out now that I'm thinking about this, because I'm sure that they're going to want to play to win, especially considering they're not playing great as of right now. They might want to just play just to try to build any sort of momentum. But I could see a reality in which he doesn't play. There's possible. Alrighty. Let's see here. Okay, so while you guys ask questions and stuff like that, Donald Smith says, thanks, Andrew. I'm a champ. Congratulations, Donald. Congratulations. It's good to hear. All right, what I wanted to go ahead and do really quickly is, while we do this, I'm going to go ahead and swap over. Let's see here. Maybe the screen cap will actually teleport me. Okay, so I'm going to travel over to Underdog Fantasy. I don't know if you guys are aware. Now that many of you guys' seasons are over, you could technically participate, whether it's the Pick'em Slips games or whether it's, potentially drafting a team for the upcoming Mitten or Gauntlet, whatever you guys want. I mean, again, you guys know my hidden gems are always there. So the Gauntlet is always in the conversation. But as of right now, I'm probably going to go ahead and draft a couple teams in regards to the Mitten. Let me see. What did you guys say in the live chat? Kelsey22 says, if you win the chip, spam the chat with trophies. Congratulations. Yeah. James Buck says, join my first fantasy football league this year. After many years of baseball, started late after the draft completed. All my players were pickups. Congratulations, James. Won our Super Bowl with 4 players inactive yesterday. Mostert, Jacobs, Edwards-Helaire, and Wicks. Wow. How about that, huh? That's, goodness, that's a tough one. Jaguars defense. Howard, let me think about this. Jaguars defense this week. Who did the Jags play? The Jaguars are playing up against Tennessee. If it's Tannehill, then yeah. At any point Tannehill starts, I think that's always a good play to put a defense up against them. Ethan Roberts says, I won my both my leagues. Thanks to you, dog. No problem, Ethan. Glad I can help. Super chat was my thanks for all the great info. Thank you, James. Appreciate that. Greatly appreciate it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. Let's draft one of these teams. Let's just see how it goes while I answer questions in the live chat. So typically how this draft works, it's purely just for the NFL playoffs. So you almost want to build a team in which you think can get to the championship, which at this point, like if you're just looking at it outright, you probably want to build a team that has 49ers and you probably want to build a team that has Ravens on it. And if you can go ahead and build a team that has both, could work. I have the 4th pick. I've done one of these drafts earlier in the week. I had the first pick and I took McCaffrey, and then I started building a full Rams team on the side of it. I don't know if that'll work, but we'll end up waiting and seeing. Phil says, I started Najee yesterday based on our Seattle defense analysis. Won the league. Congratulations, Phil. Yeah, Najee Harris was ridiculous yesterday. Actually, both him and Jaylen Warren were great. Both found the end zone, and that's really all it takes. Like, if you find the end zone in fantasy, you're going to be fantasy relevant, but he also went for over 100 rushing yards, had a monster day. Seattle sucks at stopping the run. I mean, that's a given. The only question was going to be, can Seattle actually, take a lead? And they didn't. Pittsburgh came out, they punched them in the mouth, they took a lead, and they just continued to run the ball and the clock out. David Diaz sent in a super chat. Thank you, David. I appreciate it. Says, you answered my questions a few times this season. I watched every video. Traded for JJ and Connor. Won both my fantasy leagues this year. Congratulations, David. That's fantastic. Flipside Fishing said, second time playing fantasy football, and I won my championship. Congratulations, Flipside. Howard says, how bad are the Dolphins now? They have all their excuses already laid out. I mean, I wouldn't say that they're bad. I just think that they're not as good as the other teams, right? I mean, that's pretty much it. They're still a good football team. when they play against teams that have a losing record. But outside of that, I mean, yeah, it's not a great overall look for them. McCaffrey, Lamb. Let's see here. How do I want to build this team? Debo. Let's see here. If I want to build this team under the assumption that the Ravens are just clearing teams out, maybe I build it like, do I just want to take Lamar? I almost want to, but I think I'll just like build it. I'm going to try this. Let's take Ayuk here just for the NFC side, and then I'll start building off the AFC if I can get Lamar on the other side. Let's see here. LJ says, kind of scared. Half my lineup might not even play for week 18. Yeah, you're not wrong. Let's do this real quick. You're not wrong. There's a actual possibility in which your entire lineup could end up sitting for this upcoming week. It's always possible. MVP Paulie says, just checking in to say thanks for everything, Andrew. Won 2 of my 3 leagues this year and made the playoffs in the other. Watching for the past 3 seasons. Greetings and salutations from Ireland. Ireland, huh? What are we doing in Ireland? Wait a minute. Okay, there goes Lamar. So I have Ayuk. That's fine. I might be able to just build out. There goes Kittle. All right, so I'll take Purdy. That's fine by me. I'll just continue to build this like 49ers half a team here. From Ireland? Are you like native, like born and raised Ireland? We're watching football. Caesar says, Happy New Year's, Andrew. Won my standard league, mainly thanks to Christian McCaffrey and Josh Allen. Thanks for all that you do. Thank you very much, Caesar. Congratulations on the win. Free username says, finally dropping Keenan Allen, hoping he doesn't randomly play. No, he won't. He won't. His season's over. As soon as that absolute disaster of a Thursday night game occurred against the against the Raiders, and Justin Herbert was out for the remainder of the season, and they fired their head coach, he's like, all right, I don't need to play anymore. Like, we're not doing anything this year, which I respect. His efforts were far beyond what they were intended to be this season, or what we anticipated to see. So whatever he was able to accomplish, congratulations, fantastic. We're not asking for much more. At least I'm not, at least in this circumstance. Okay, so considering I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna continue to build out a team that has Ravens now. So Zay Flowers is available, even though I didn't get Lamar. I mean, I don't mind. Here, let me scoot over myself really quickly on this. Like, I have a Zay Flowers, Ayuk, Purdy start, which is not bad for the fantasy or for the NFL playoffs. T-Rex 3 says, if Flacco sits, which is possible, it's definitely possible. Who's my next best quarterback? In my workplace championship in a 4-point per passing touchdown league? Minshew, Stidham, Mullins, Lawrence. If he plays, thanks for all the help. If Lawrence plays Jacksonville versus Tennessee, I would like to play him. If not, then the next best is most likely playing Minshew. Then the third would be Jarrett Stidham, and then, well, actually, look, Mullins last time out against Detroit threw for 411. So technically, it might just be like Lawrence, Minshew, Mullins, then Stidham. Yeah, that's probably the order in which I would go about it. Am I on the clock? I am. Okay, so I need to probably look for a running back, but at the same time, I kind of want to just keep building wide receivers here. Let's take Rashee Rice. Let's keep building here. Let's see what I can put together in terms of a team. I think on running back, I can wait because some of the teams that are really going to push for the championship aren't going to really have like those omega running back names that we need or want, technically. MVP Paulie says, born and raised in Ireland. Yeah, red zone at 6 p.m. on a Sunday evening is perfect for the dark winter here. That's ridiculous, Paulie. Congratulations again. That's fantastic. All right, let's see what can we actually do in regards to this. Okay, so I already have 2 AFC, 2 NFC. I'm trying to balance it out. What can I put together here? I think I might, considering Purdy and Ayuk are going to be on bye week, I need to get a quarterback, running back, wide receiver combo that probably is on the NFC side. So I got to look for it. I'll probably go ahead and try to put together like a, let's see here. How is the Detroit combo looking? Like if I look up Goff, he's still available. How about Amon-Ra's probably gone, right? Yeah, he's already been drafted. Then maybe it's a yeah, I think it might be a Laporta play. Yeah, okay. So that's how I'll probably build it right now. Gibbs is available as well, but I don't really love Gibbs too much for the playoffs. I'd rather have Gus Edwards, to be honest. That's probably where I'll go. Let's just take Gus the bus there, and then we'll go back to the NFC kind of build. David Diaz says, "Hey, Andrew, how did you do in your leagues this year?" In my championships yesterday, I won 1 of 4, if you can imagine that. Disaster. Alvin Kamara killed me in one of my leagues. In another, I played against CeeDee Lamb. He in a full PPR. Mother effer put up 40 on my head, and I couldn't even get out from underneath it. The one league that I won, thank you, Justin Fields, for that incredible game in the most ridiculous snow I've seen in a while. Thank you, DJ Moore. I had the stack. I played it because that was the best thing that I had available, and they delivered. And then I'm trying to remember, what's the other league? The other league was Saquon got hurt. Calvin Ridley did nothing again. I mean, I didn't really have a choice. I kind of had to play him. And TJ Hawkinson got hurt in that league. There was just disasters. Disaster. Joe Burrow got hurt in that league. I don't know how I even got to the finals. It wasn't really a matter of like I was even going to contest for anything in there. Okay, let me see here. I need to build. Is Laporta still here? He's already been taken. So if I'm not going to go Laporta, I might as well just build it this way. Maybe just like Montgomery. Just to hope for touchdowns. Take Goff afterward. Or maybe it's like a Stafford play. I'm assuming Puka's gone. He's not. How about Cup? Okay, Cup's gone. Stafford Puka might not be a bad idea, just to kind of stack it. I kind of messed up on the Montgomery grab, I think. These are not bad. I can live with this. How many more players can I think I have 10 total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, not bad. So I can put together like one more, maybe 2 more quarterbacks. 1 more running back, 1 more wide receiver. And just roll it with that. Luis Castillo sent in the question, says, "Hey boss, thanks for all the info and answering my questions this year. Made the finals and won 2 of my 3 championships. You're the best. Congratulations, Luis. I'm glad we were able to help you capture a championship. Not just 1, but at least 2 of the 3. That's fantastic to hear." Choppa says, "How do I recover from a fantasy championship loss?" I was responding to that earlier. I was saying it's probably best that I mean, look, here's the thing, right? The best remedy for a loss is to try to come back and win it all the next year. I think that's typically the case. But I would say the more leagues that you play in, the better, so that you can eventually those losses will stop hurting. Like I lost 3 championships yesterday. I could give a give, right? I mean, at least I play in leagues to where the prize money is enough to where like even if I'm pulling second, I'm still happy. I don't even care. Like I'll take it, especially with some of these teams. Okay. Puka just got yoinked, right? Of course he did. How do I want to build this then? Maybe I'll just take Jared and I'll just hope that the Lions pull out a dub. And then we won't need Stafford there anymore. I think I need... Let me actually check here. What quarterbacks are even available? I don't even know how I'm building this team. I got to actually think about this. Hold up. I've got 3 picks. I might go... Yeah, I'm going to try something. We'll see how this works. We'll see. Bryson in the chat said, "Won my league. Thanks to steady advice all season, Andrew. Every year you give an absolute goated advice. Cheers, everyone." Thank you very much, Bryson. Congratulations on the dub. Banana Bread had retracted a question, and so did Weight Watchers. So if you guys have any questions, let me know, or any statements. All right, so I'm back on the clock. What I wanted to do was take Njoku, and that mother sucker just got taken easily. I think what I probably do at this point, let's look at running back. I'm clicking the wrong side. Let's look at running backs. Okay. Nothing great there. And it just auto-drafted for me. All right, I'll take the Jerome Ford. That's fine. Basically just need to grab a wide receiver on the AFC side and then probably let it ride after that, because I'm gonna just start Purdy every week because it's best ball. I just need Jared for that first game. So it's just a matter of, yeah, I just need a wide receiver at this point then. Okay, let me see here. Let's see what I can fish for. There's no way Mark Andrews returns for the NFL playoffs, right? Anonymous said, just won my fantasy league. Thanks so much for the grind all year. You're the man. Thank you very much, Anonymous. Congratulations on the win. Okay, let's see here. What do we have? I don't really want to mess with Mike Evans too much. I don't think it's the best overall investment of a player. DK, I don't think. Oh, that's actually not a terrible. They might end up making the playoffs, but who do they play against? They might play against the Eagles. This was tough. Now I'm just projecting. There's no way you just dropped a hundo, right? James, that is way too generous, my man. Holy moly. Won my championship last night despite being up about 20 and no one else in. My opponent had Ty Chandler and JJ. Miracle upon miracles. My first league in 21 years. Thanks, man. Congratulations, James. Very, very generous of you. I greatly appreciate it, James. Thank you. Congratulations, man. Damn. You were up 20 and he had JJ and Chandler and he didn't win? What? Well, I mean, you can thank Jaren Hall. Honestly, that's who we should be thanking. Thank Jaren Hall for absolutely no showing to start that game. I mean, wow. Congratulations. What do I want to do here with this? I don't need another quarterback. I don't need another receiver technically. I think I just take like Justice Hill and I just pray for it and just see what happens. All right, we're going to close. Let's go back to drafts real quick. Okay, let me read this chat real quick. Again, James, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. It's very generous of you. Happy New Year. Thank you again. Let's see here. Banana Bread said, I unfortunately play in week 18. Okay, no, not a problem. Full PPR. What do you think about my roster? My quarterback is CJ Stroud, David Montgomery. Let me actually go back to full screen real quick, and then I'll answer some of these questions. Let's see here. So you have CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud, I mean, the team played well, but he obviously, for fantasy purposes, didn't do anything, which was unfortunate. They got that early lead because of that defensive touchdown, and then it all just kind of poured on with the field goals. CJ Stroud, David Montgomery, Devon Achane. Wide receivers are Amon-Ra, Nico Collins, Isaiah Likely, and Browns defense. Lost Christian McCaffrey. I don't think this is this is a pretty solid team. Like, honestly, Isaiah Likely's played extremely well as of late. The only issue that I have with Isaiah Likely, Banana Bread, is I don't even know if he plays, to be honest. Considering they've already pretty much locked up the number 1 seed, they have 13 wins. Every other team in the AFC only has 11. So win, lose, or draw, the Baltimore Ravens have the number 1 seed and they do not have to participate in the Week 18 events. So you may look to have to potentially pivot from Isaiah Likely. Maybe Juwan Johnson's available in your league. As for that, outside of that, I mean, CJ Stroud's good to go. Montgomery's good to go. If Mostert missed another week, Achane played incredible yesterday. Amon-Ra should be playing this week, technically, because if the Lions win and the Cowboys lose, which again, last year, Cowboys week 18, they lost to Washington. There's always the possibility it could occur again. I doubt it, but still, it's in the realm of possibility. At this point, you got a pretty solid team, but yeah, you should be careful with Isaiah Likely. I think that's the only player that I'm most worried about. James said, I was sweating bullets at halftime, bro. Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine. I can only imagine. I mean, let me actually check this. How many points did they combine for? Let's see here. Jefferson. And then we're looking for Chandler. Chandler was really disappointing. I mean, I guess the offense as a whole was the disappointment. So in a half PPR, they combined for 8.4 and 7.9. In a full PPR, 10.9. Okay, so I'm assuming you probably played in the half PPR, and that's why you barely eclipsed it. Holy moly. Yeah, Jefferson, 5 catches, 59. Pretty disappointing, but obviously quarterback play makes a huge difference there. Banana Bread also said Alvin Kamara, forgot him. Yeah, listen, Banana Bread, I'll go ahead and I'll refer back to I'll transition the graphics on screen in just a moment. Actually, let's just do it right now really quickly just so that you have reference. So these are the waiver wire. Okay, this starts at kicker. This is an Underdog ad really quickly. Okay, so running backs that are available, if they are, these are the guys that I want this week in this order, okay? Keep these in mind. These are the wide receivers that I would want. So if they're available, boom, 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 boom. These are the guys. Tight ends, Juwan Johnson, if he is in fact available, not a bad pickup. Neither is Tucker Kraft. Neither is Johnny Bunt. Those are 3 decent options. Outside of that, I mean, kickers and defenses could potentially swap within the given week. Kaimi Fairbairn has been ridiculously good since returning from his injured reserve stint. And then potentially, if you want to play matchups and you don't have an elite defense, which I'm fairly certain. Let me see. What did you say? I think you said you had Cleveland defense. Yeah. You have the Browns defense. Yeah. So at this point, if you have the Browns defense, I'm not. Let me think about this. I'm assuming they're probably going to play against Cincinnati at a full plate. I mean, maybe they don't. Maybe they don't start any of their starters and they sit because they've already locked in their top seed of like the wild card teams. But I don't know what the math looks like. So could be a pivoting option there. Let's see here. Will S says, thanks for the amazing tips. Andrew won my fantasy championship. Congratulations, Will. Congratulations. Oscar says, I'm in a 12-man league and a half PPR keeper league. I have to decide between keeping 3 guys as my options, Taylor or Jacobs as a 3rd-round pick, James Cook and Olave as a 4th, Olave as a 7th, CD as a 1st, Ford as a 9th. Who would you recommend? I appreciate you. Oscar, I think this answer could change over the course of this offseason, but I think Taylor has to be kept as a 3rd. I think CD is a very solid 1st, and I think Olave is an incredible 7th. Taylor, Olave, CD. Those are the 3 that I'm looking at, and I'm thinking I would not mind having a Lamb in the 1st, Taylor in the 3rd, and Olave in the 7th is probably the best of the bunch based on what you'll get in return and the value that they provide and where you're kind of keeping them as it stands. But yeah, it could change, but those are the 3 that I like. Ibrahim Yusuf says, thanks for everything, brother. Came up short week 15 by 0.26. Had Bijan after this week. We'll be seeing you soon. Thank you very much, Ibrahim. Congratulations as far as you went. Hopefully next year we can close the gap and complete the entire the fantasy gauntlet and capture a championship. Thank you. Wilson says, thanks for all the help this year, Andrew. Favorite fantasy football YouTuber by far. Greetings, salutations, and to the new year. Thank you very much, Wilson. Banana Bread says, thanks for the advice. Can't believe I made it to the championship this year. Really appreciate everything that you do. No problem. Glad I can help. James said, in a standard old school league. Oh, I see, James. Okay, so we're really playing like, okay, hey, listen, we'll take it. I'm trying to think. Yeah, in a standard league, if the Minnesota Vikings, excuse me, sorry. If the Minnesota Vikings had any sort of competency as an offense in that first half, yeah, in a standard league, he could have caught you very easily. All it takes is 1 touchdown apiece, and it's over. But hey, you pulled it out. Congratulations, my man. Let's see here. Steve says, happy 24. Thank you very much. Happy New Year to you as well. I won my big home league with your help. It was a blowout due to Lamar, CD, and Laporta. Stay healthy. Thank you very much. Yeah, Laporta, I don't know is Laporta the difference maker? Like, I understand Lamar and CD. Like, Lamar had, 4 or 5 touchdowns yesterday? And CD Lamb had a absolute monster 40. Well, I guess if you're playing in a half PPR, it was like 35. Full PPR 40 bomb. Jeremy Vincent says, thank you. I won my league. Your time and effort and research is greatly appreciated. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Jeremy. Oscar says, what do you think? Sorry. That's what I was thinking as well. Thanks. Happy New Year. No problem. LJ says, for week 18, what do you think of my roster? We have Fields, ETN / Cook. Okay, so Fields is good to go. I would assume, even though they are in a position in which they don't have to play this week, because considering they're eliminated now, I do believe that the Bears would want to start all their primary guys to play upset special against Green Bay, because it is a division rival, and why not go ahead and in the final week knock them out, just like the just like the way that Detroit did it to Green Bay last season. Why not go ahead, show up, and show out? And of course, Justin Fields wants to continue to prove, hey, I should be the starting quarterback of this team, despite the fact that the Bears have secured the number 1 overall pick, of course, due to the trade that they had with Carolina this offseason. He wants to continue to prove to the front office, the GM, the owner, that he should be the guy going forward, or at least maybe put out enough good tape to where another team comes out and trades for him. So Fields is good. ETN will probably be playing because they still need to win their division. Cook will absolutely be playing. Last time out against Miami, he had himself a pretty solid day. Tyreek will probably be playing if healthy. I'm assuming he is. He dropped a touchdown yesterday, which was brutal. CeeDee Lamb will probably play. Laporta will play, and DJ Moore will play. My bench consists of Flacco, Zamir, Kenneth Walker, Pickens, and Muth. Thinking of unleashing Pickens and with Pitt still fighting. I think everyone that is on your roster will still be fighting. Now, if you want to play Pickens over those other alternative options, you can. But technically, based on the way that this is set up, like if the Cowboys lose this week, they don't get the number 2 seed. They drop. They could even go as far down as having the... Well, technically, yeah. If the Cowboys lose and the Eagles win, the Eagles get the division. They win the division. So the Cowboys are going to have to play regardless. So CeeDee Lamb has to play. Miami's the same way. If Miami loses and Buffalo wins again against them, they lose the division. They lose a home game. So they're going to be fired up. So at this current circumstance, with all the players you have, LJ, all of them are going to be fighting and playing at a full capacity. So I wouldn't really worry about it. Reuven Roberts sent in a super chat. Thank you, Reuven. Says, lost my first ever championship. Bijan and Gibbs let me down. Yeah, that's rough. I mean, 2 running backs that, they over the course of the season, I would say, actually, let me see. Where did they end up finishing? I know that in a half PPR, Gibbs was for sure top 12. He was number 9. Bijan was the biggest disappointment. Yeah. The fact that Bijan was the number 12 RB, he didn't miss any time. It just speaks to the lack of competency from that coaching staff. They should have gave him so many touches. He only had 254 touches this season. Should have had 304 if it was me. But nonetheless, either way, he only had 7 touchdowns too, man. He should have had 17, man. That offense is too good at running the ball. Either way, Reuven, hopefully next season we can go ahead and get the job done. I appreciate the support, my man. The Beaver says, woo, I won my championship. Andrew, thanks for all the help. No problem, Beaver. Congratulations. Well done. Let's see here. Matthew Schultz says, rate my team in a full PPR. My lineup consists of Tua. Okay, so Tua's already injured, but I would assume because, again, they're playing for their playoff lives against Buffalo, all hands will be on deck. So Tua should be good to go. Swift will be playing. Breece Hall, I'm assuming, considering how well he's played as late, they'll fire him up once again, and he's been on fire, so he has to play. Lamb's going to be fine. Amon-Ra will play. Goddard will play. Dallas defense is going to be a great play, especially if, in fact, it is going to be Sam Howell for another consecutive week. My bench consists of Kyler, Geno, Zeke. Likely any changes. I would keep it as such. As of this current moment in time, I wouldn't change anything. I'm assuming likely doesn't play, or even if he does, it's at a limited capacity. Maybe he plays for the first half and then they pull him in the second because they don't need to win. I don't expect Lamar to play this week at all. If in fact maybe he plays like 1 or 2 series and then he sits, but we'll keep that monitored over the course of the week. But as it stands, I am very comfortable with what you have. I would consider maybe Kyler over Tua. Kyler played some hero ball last night, and maybe he could do the same against Seattle and knock them out of the playoffs. It wouldn't surprise me. So for right now, in terms of week 18, I'd keep it as such, but the only thing I'm considering is maybe swapping Kyler over Tua. That's the only thing that I'm considering, and I'm heavily considering it at this current moment because I think that Kyler is probably a better play. Let's see here. Bill in the chat was saying standard league. Please pick 2 at running back, wide receiver, and flex. Okay, let's do this. What do we have available here? We have Mostert, Pollard, Henry, and CEH. Okay, so going into the final week here, Mostert, Pollard, Henry. All right, so this is what I'll say. So there's a chance that Mostert doesn't play. If he doesn't, right, it's Pollard and Henry easily. CEH is not a play at all. Let me think. Let me see what else you have. Maybe I can start all 3 of those running backs, one in the flex. My wide receivers consist of Ayuk, Metcalf, Devontae Smith, Hopkins. Okay. Ayuk might not play. And even if he does, he maybe plays the first half. So I'm thinking, Bill, that the way that this team is going to have to be built this week is like going Metcalf and Devontae Smith as your 2 starting wide receivers, Pollard and Henry as your 2 running backs, Mostert in the flex, and then probably picking up Juwan Johnson and playing him in the Yeah, probably picking up Juwan Johnson and playing him at tight end. Cole Kmet played a season low 13 snaps yesterday. I think he played 13 of 75 snaps, which is I mean, 0 targets, 0 receptions. It sucks, man. It's brutal. But yeah, I think that's how I'm building it as of right now, Bill. Cinco2X says, won my chip in both my leagues. Thank you. No problem, Cinco. Glad I can help. Spinal Samurai comes in and says, thanks for the last minute advice to start Connor over Saquon. Won my league. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Dude, I had a feeling that Connor was going to be able to pull it out yesterday. And man, he did it. I mean, it is unfortunate for those of you who played Saquon. He got hurt. And there's nothing we can do about it, right? Those are the extra situations of fantasy that take place that are unfortunate, but they do exist and they will continue to exist. But yeah, glad we were able to bring him a chip. James Conner, man, the last 4 games he has been ridiculous. Now, just wait and see what he does this week against Seattle. It's going to be disgusting. I won by 0.82 fantasy points. Congratulations, Spinal Samurai. I was up against Jones, and they benched him at the perfect time. Jeez Louise. I'm assuming that's Aaron Jones, and because they were up so much, they just pulled him. Flacco's Bedtime says, Happy New Year, and thanks, Andrew. Obliterated my opponent with points to spare. Lamar, CD, Zay Flowers. Dude, guys, Zay Flowers. Remember yesterday morning? I know Cinco was here. I know Reuven was here. I know Spinal was here. I know Flacco was here. I know LJ was here. Almost all of you were probably in here. Yesterday morning, what was the report that came out that everyone was worried about? Zay Flowers, he's going to be, pitch count, da-da-da. You got to always ignore those Sunday reports, dude. It literally pays dividends to ignore them. Anytime a report like that comes out, do the opposite. They say, don't start him, we're starting him. Zay Flowers, monster touchdown. I know his overall production in terms of receptions wasn't high. They didn't need him to get that much production. All it took was one pass. He went to the house, and for one of my teams, I love to see what he helped me capture a chip, so I'm happy about it. But congratulations, Flacco's Bedtime. That is a team, dude. Lamar, CD, Zay, Kyron Herbert, DK Njoku, Elliott, and Baltimore's defense, dude. Bill says, dude, thank you. Happy New Year. Glad you are better. Yeah, I'm significantly better. Thank you. Cinco2X says, yep, absolutely. Oscar says you called it. Yeah, look, here's the thing. It's not a matter of I called it. I thought Flowers was going to play well. I just knew that the BS report was going to be BS. Earlier this season, the volume of times that we have seen those Sunday reports come out saying they're going to be limited, it never comes to fruition. So I honestly think it's the teams themselves, they leak it to, so every team has their connect to the media, right? Whether they work for NFL Network or ESPN or anything of that nature, maybe Fox Sports, doesn't matter. They all have a connect to the media. Every single one of them, whenever they want, a player to kind of be under the radar, for some reason they come out and say, hey, let everyone know he's going to be limited. It's what's the point of that? Why would you tell the public that they're going to be limited unless you already know that they're not going to be limited and you want to just go ahead and spice it up a little bit? I don't know, man. It's crazy. Sippin' Woke says, hey, Andrew, do you know which teams are likely to rest their starters? I appreciate your guidance you delivered this season. Yeah. So as of right now, what we were talking about earlier was the potential in which we already know that Baltimore and San Francisco, they've already clinched the number 1 seeds. They're going to get the first round bye for the NFL playoffs. So neither of those teams need to start their starters. So what I would assume that we're potentially going to see this week is that they'll probably start their starters for the first half, pull them in the second half. Which again, at that point, I'm not going to start a first half Lamar Jackson. Now, don't get me wrong. Lamar Jackson in the first half could score 3 touchdowns. We don't know, but I would probably look for an alternative option. As for other teams that are probably going to sit their starters, technically Cleveland doesn't have to play their starters, but these are the teams that are going to be fighting for playoffs, right? Miami, Kansas City, Jacksonville, Cleveland, Buffalo, Indianapolis, Houston, Pittsburgh. They're all fighting for the AFC side. On the NFC side, we have Dallas, Detroit, Tampa Bay, Philadelphia, Los Angeles Rams, Green Bay, Seattle, New Orleans, Minnesota, Atlanta. All those teams still eligible to potentially make the NFL playoffs. The teams that are eliminated are teams like Cincinnati, Denver, Las Vegas, the Jets, Tennessee, Los Angeles Chargers, New England. So if someone's already injured on those teams, don't expect him to be fired up this week. So, like, don't expect a return of Keenan Allen or Josh Jacobs in any sort of capacity. Don't expect the return of Will Levis this week. So it will not help DeAndre Hopkins. He's probably a non-factor play this week. As for the NFC side, Chicago, New York Giants, Washington, Arizona, Carolina, they're all been eliminated. So don't expect probably expect Andy Dalton to be starting for Carolina this week. Probably expect that. So just keep that in mind and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That's what we know so far. But as the week progresses, we'll get more and more information. I think the most information that'll probably come to fruition and actually be like publicized will be on Saturday night. Up until then, we're just speculating. But yeah, I mean, when I look at the NFL playoff bracket, 13-3 Ravens are number one. The 49ers, whether they lose or tie or win, it doesn't matter because they've beaten the Cowboys one-on-one. They beat the Eagles one-on-one. And I believe there's not a chance for, even if the Lions win, I don't think they can get the number one seed. I could be wrong in that, but I'll keep an eye on that as the week progresses. So outside of that, like the teams that have already clinched the playoffs, which are set, and they're basically just fighting for seeding, like the Rams technically have made it to the playoffs. They have no... Technically, they're only in well, actually, let me think about this. The Rams have beaten the Packers. No, they lost to the Packers, so they need to play this week. So, yeah, the Rams need to beat the Packers to ensure that they don't play the Cowboys or the Eagles. I think that's how it's going to work this week. They want to play Detroit, so I'm assuming they fired themselves up just for that. Imagine how exciting that's going to be. Wild card weekend, Detroit against the Rams, Stafford going back to the big house in Detroit. That'd be crazy. Travis sent in a message and said, took down my one and only league this year. Second title in 4 years. Your videos are a big part. Thanks for all the content and great. Thank you very much. Very appreciate that, Travis. Glad you were able to pull in and catch a second championship in the last 4 years. Congratulations. Well done. Oscar says, who do you think is winning the Super Bowl? And what team is most likely to get upset? It depends on what we look. I mean, look, I think the Eagles are trending in the horrible direction. I think the 49ers, the Cowboys, the Lions, and the Rams could all beat the Eagles right now. The Eagles need to play the Packers or the Buccaneers or one of those teams that are potentially coming out of the wild card teams. That's what the Eagles require because they need a get right game. Because they are just, they have not looked good in the last month. I think they're 2-4 in the last 6 games. They're trending in the wrong direction very quickly. So I feel like they could be upset in any given moment. I think the Chiefs could end up getting upset in the first round. Like if the Chiefs have to play against the Buffalo Bills or the Miami Dolphins, even if the Chiefs have to play against the Browns, I think the Browns would smack them. Like the Browns they're playing so well with Flacco. It's kind of crazy. Who do I think wins the Super Bowl? I'm hoping that it's not one of the top 2 seeds, just off of principle of like the underdog mentality. But I think the Baltimore Ravens are so damn good that it's ridiculous. Nels Santiago with a very generous super chat. Nels, thank you. Says, thanks, bro, for my 3rd championship in my 10th year of this keeper. Congratulations, Nels. Nels, you've been around for a very long time. Congratulations. Well done. Happy New Year to you as well. That's awesome. Love to hear it. All right, let's see here. If anybody else is playing in a week 18 and has a question regarding their roster lineup this week and or potentially any waiver wire questions, please type it in the chat. I'm more than happy to help. I will probably be closing out the live stream in about 10 minutes here. I just wanted to come in, mention a couple waiver wire names, which we did earlier on. If you guys need to find those names and the rankings of which I had in regards to waiver wire, you can rewind the video. But I just wanted to come in, get all that settled. I'll be back tomorrow in terms of a live stream. I'll be live streaming tomorrow afternoon, probably same time or a little bit later. And I'll have my top 36 running back rankings for week 18. Again, a lot of it is going to be malleable, considering we're not 100% certain who's going to exactly be playing and not playing. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Austin Eckler doesn't play this week, but he could. I mean, they have nothing to play for, and he's an older running back, so if he's dealing with any sort of injury, he could just sit. But out of pride, out of the spirit of competition, maybe he goes out there, maybe he wants to go ahead and gather a couple, yards just to try to get him in the right direction and get another one of those incentive bonuses on his contract. Jake says, do you think Lamar plays next week? I think he probably plays, but he doesn't play past the first half. And the reason why I think that's probably the case is because, sure, they want to keep him healthy, but they're also in the business of like, they don't want him to gain any sort of dust or rust prior to their next game, because if he doesn't play this week, that means he'll have 2 full weeks off because they're not going to play anybody in the first round of the AFC wildcard weekend. So they'll probably end up giving him a couple reps in the first half and then pull him, which obviously does not bode well for his fantasy purposes. And if you have him going into week 18, I would probably look to potentially pivot to another alternative option there. The People's Elbow says, lost my league final, faced against Lamar, Singletary, Mixon, Godwin, Pickens, Flowers, and Laporta. That's rough. Was slaughtered. Yeah, Lamar was different yesterday. That was so ridiculous. Mixon was good. He fell into the end zone. Godwin scored a lucky touchdown. Flowers scored a touchdown. Laporta had that late game surge. A lot of late game surges from what you went up against. But yeah, that's tough. Jake says, I have Stroud on my bench, so I'll be playing him. Yeah, and I think he's got a pretty good, if I'm not mistaken, Houston plays against Indianapolis. That's a great matchup. I know earlier this year they lost 20-31, but I think they're a far more improved football team since the last time they faced against Indianapolis. So I think they'll be fine. Appreciate it. All righty, let's see here. Okay, we're good to go. All right. Anybody else have any other questions, comments, concerns? I do appreciate y'all once again for coming out on this, wonderful Monday to start the new year. What a long season. This was a very interesting season. Betty G, what's up, Betty? Says, won my championship, Andrew, $600 richer. Thanks to the legend, great year. Congratulations, Betty. Well done. You've been around the channel for quite a while. Always coming in, asking questions. Glad I was able to help in any sort of capacity. If I wasn't able to help and it was just you doing it all, congratulations either way. Glad to hear it, my man. Yeah, that's all I asked for Christmas this year. The magical spirit of Santa, I asked, hey, can we get everyone that watches the channel to win a championship? And even though Santa wasn't able to deliver at a full capacity, at least we were able to get a lot of you some championships for this season, which is, again, all I ask for. I'd rather you guys win than I win ever again. That's all I'm looking for. Let's see here. Anthony C says, won 3 of 6 leagues. Look, whenever you're able to win 50% of the leagues that you play in, that in itself is a feat. That well done, man. I'm not even able to do that. Benny G says, we did it together, legend. Absolutely. Love it. Thank you very much, Benny. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate that. All right, let's see here. We'll close that. We don't need the waiver wire notes anymore because I'm pretty sure we're good to go. For those of you, again, who have any questions regarding waiver wire rankings, the graphics were earlier on in today's live stream, so you could rewind and check those out. I had a couple thoughts on each of those overall circumstances in regards to top 6 running backs, wide receivers, top 3 quarterbacks, tight ends, kickers, and defenses. Thank you. Anthony C says, also, I added Tom Brady to my bench to get the GOAT another Okay, dude. That's actually hilarious. You added the legend factor to your bench, right? Like, you brought in, so you were basically thinking about it as in like it was a real locker room. You brought in Tom Brady. He brought in that extra locked in mentality. Everybody else shaped up and they all pushed towards winning a chip. Congratulations, Anthony. That's some next level fantasy right there. Bob says Stafford over Mahomes. For this week, yeah, I would say for the rest of the season, Stafford over Mahomes. Even though Stafford, fantasy-wise, yesterday wasn't great because Kyron Williams obviously scored 3 rushing touchdowns. Going up against San Francisco this week, they'll probably have to throw for a lot of that game. And earlier this season, Stafford was not bad in terms of throwing the ball against San Francisco. The only time he ever turned over the ball earlier this season against them was one on a tip pass that was thrown towards Kyron Williams, tipped off his hands, went into the hands of the defender, and then the other one was a late game trying to come back. Was just trying to throw it into double coverage and throw a pick. Otherwise, he's a significantly better quarterback. The offense looks great, and I think he's probably the better player over Mahomes this week. Jack says, after the game canceled last year, I wasn't able to win the chip, but I won this year as well. okay, so this is how I settled last year's championships, right? So last year, I played in a couple chip games, right? Couple in which like I had won anyway, and like there was no way that I was gonna lose. So like those chips were good. But there was a game in my home league last year where I had Burrow and Mixon. Both of them did not end up playing, obviously, and completing that game. So there were a couple ways that we settled it last year. It was either if you have a quarterback or if you have a player on your bench that could fill in for that player that was in that game between the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals last year. If you have a player on your bench that could fill in, regardless, fill them in, and that's it. Done. That's your championship. Or the way that we settled it in our league, because I had Mixon and Burrow, we had gone ahead and decided that if the Bengals played against the Bills in the NFL playoffs, we would take those fantasy stats, and that's how I won my league last year in my home league. Eric says, won my league with the assistance of you and Lamar Jackson. Thanks for everything. You're the greatest. Thank you very much, Eric. Congratulations, man. Congratulations. But that's how we settled it last year. Because the Bills had a rematch with the Bengals in the NFL playoffs last year, we just took those stats from those players that were required in that matchup, and we plugged them in. I ended up pulling it out with Mixon and Burrow having a great day in the NFL playoffs last year against Buffalo in the snow. What a great day. Otherwise, either way, I would have still won if I had replaced my quarterback and my running back with the worst available options that I had on my bench. So either way, I was going to pull in that chip, but but that's how we settled it last year. But hey, congratulations. Even though they stole the chip from you last year, Jack, you were able to come back this year and take it home. Congratulations. All right. Any other questions? Are we good? As long as we're all good and there's nobody else, I'm going to probably go ahead and head out. Again, for those of you guys who are playing in Week 18, I'll be back tomorrow, probably around 4 or 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with this kind of a live stream. The live stream will be posted to the channel afterward in the live tab like we typically do. Do want to thank you guys for those of you who just swung on by, showed some love. For those of you who sent in super chats to show even more love, greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys very much. All right, that's going to be it. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to cue the double helix, the theme song of the channel. And until next time, I'll see you guys. Peace.